Hi there, I'm Will Studd, and thanks for watching. Here's another episode of Cheese Slices from our archives, proudly brought to you by Will Studd Selected Cheese.
Triple cream, Stilton cheddar, Emmental, mozzarella, camembert. I love a vegetam de Kiro cheese. Parmigiano Reggiano, Roquefort de Meaux, and Monchegoro, River Blue and Gouda. Asiago, Wesley, Della, Rockland, Reblochon, Halloumi, Feta, Gorgonzola cheese. Oh, Montrejac, Pecorino, Swiss Gruyere. I love a vegetam de Kiro cheese.
Cheesemaking here in central Italy dates back thousands of years and has been heavily influenced by the seasonal migration of animals from the high mountain pastures of Abruzzo down to the valleys of Puglia. Today, that great tradition has sadly almost disappeared, but the cheeses remain. So I've come here to find out more about them. Abruzzo and its sister province of Molise boast some of the wildest and most beautiful countryside in Italy. Stretching from the Apennines to the Adriatic coast, the region's medieval hilltop towns, dramatic rugged mountains, empty valleys and unspoilt natural landscapes are just some of the reasons tourists visit this rich cultural region. The origins of the traditional cheeses made here date back more than 2,000 years and are closely linked to the continuous movement of shepherds and their flocks along small grassy tracks that lead up and down the mountains to the high altitude pastures of the plateau. Until the 1950s, these were grazed in summer by hundreds of thousands of sheep. The provenance of the local raw milk cheeses found here is unique compared to those found in other parts of Italy because of a diverse mix of more than 300 types of grasses and herbs. I've come here to find the last remaining cheese still being made along the shepherd's historical route. Known locally as the Tratturo Magno or Great Path, it stretches for 250 kilometres across the mountains down to the coastal plains. One of the most important cheeses in this region is known as Canestrato Castel del Monte. The Canestrato part of the name relates to the wicker baskets the cheese was once strained in, and the Castel del Monte relates to the local town. But what makes this cheese really special is the herbs that these sheep eat. There are over 140 varieties, and they're ingested into the milk and make this cheese very special. The centre of traditional Abruzzo sheep farming is Campo Imperatore in the Gran Sasso and Monte della Laga national parks. And most of this 19-kilometre long plateau 1,800 metres above sea level, lies in the municipality of Castel del Monte. Today, there are only a few dairies officially producing this traditional pecorino, and one of its more unusual characteristics is the seasonal use of either calf or lamb's rennet. Raw ewe's milk is gently heated to 38 degrees and inoculated with traditional animal rennet. This is then left to set before being broken into small pea-sized lumps and gently cooked for 15 minutes at around 45 degrees centigrade. The fresh curd is transferred into baskets, which vary in size from 700 grams to 2.5 litres.
Okay, so the seasonal production of lamb of course, has influenced this. In ancient times, they used to inject only rennet of lamb, while today there is just a very, very small production of lamb rennet. That's why they are using also the calf one today.
Okay, because I know that, for example, in Tuscany, they use a calf rennet and it produces quite a sweet pecorino, whereas in the further south you go, you see more and more the lamb rennet, and then that big sharp, you know,
exactly.
and when you pull it apart, it's sort of like, it's like elastic.
Very good, very sweet.
Very sweet. Lovely.
Yeah.
After gentle pressing and salting, these are placed on racks in a cool, well-ventilated ripening room and matured for between 2 months and a year. The cheeses from this region are easily recognisable by the traditional pattern of the baskets on the rind, but the flavour and texture depend on the type of rennet that's been used. After leaving the dairy, we headed up into the old town of Castel del Monte to have a coffee with one of the last shepherds to make the traditional Transhumance trek. And my guide, Eleonora, asked him why the tradition had ended.
Well, of course, because of the discomfort involved, and also because some tratturi were disappearing during the fascist period, during the camping of the wheat.
La campagna del grano.
Periodo di Mussolini.
When Mussolini proclaimed that tratturi had to be converted to wheat roads,
Sì, durante il fascismo e anche dopo.
Anche dopo.
so they started to cultivate crops on the green roads.
Quindi noi avevamo difficoltà.
And we had a lot of difficulties to get through those pastures.
The 75-year-old went on to explain that during this period the government passed a law to allow the transport of animals by road or train at a much lower price. He told us the journey on foot along the ancient paths generally took between 20 and 30 days, with regular stops at camps and villages along the way where they made cheese. Mariano was also very keen that I look at a unique local pecorino. One of the most fascinating cheeses found in this beautiful mountain region dates back to 100 AD. What makes it particularly different is the milk is set with pig's rennet. In the shadow of Mount Carmichar lies one of the only officially acknowledged dairies that is still producing authentic Pecorino de Farindola. Acknowledged as endangered by Italy's slow food procedure, this unique raw used milk cheese is coagulated using animal rennet made from dried salted pig stomach, marinated in wine and vinegar. As I understand it, the milk has been heated to 35 degrees, pig's rennet was added, and then it was left to stand for 45 minutes, and then the curd was cut, and this is the hooping process. So this is one of the few cheeses in Italy still made the traditional way.
Yes, exactly.
And do you know what this is? This is wicker.
Yes, it is wicker.
Okay. And it's been put into water to make it really, really soft and flexible.
Flexibility is a crucial feature of this basket because it's very important for them to give it the right shape, you know.
No, so it can be pressed out, otherwise I guess it'd break. Another unique feature of this rare cheese is that it's traditionally only made by women. So I'm really quite lucky to be in here. Normally this is women-only business, but, you know, it's one of my lucky days, hey?
Yes.
So this is the pig's rennet. As I understand it, you take a mature pig, an old pig, rather than a milking young piglet. Take an old pig and you take its stomach, you salt it, then you put it into vinegar and then into a jar and cover it with wine.
White wine, exactly.
And then you leave it for a year.
A year, yes, as a preference, at least some months.
So I wonder what it smells like.
Yes, very much of wine, and you can feel the acidity of the vinegar, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I can smell it. It's very alcoholic. It almost feels like you could drink it.
Yeah.
So I've got something special for you here.
No, please.
Okay, a spoon. Okay, I want you to have a little taste and tell me what it tastes like.
No.
Please, please, come on. Okay.
No.
Just a little taste.
Salted and, yes, acid. Yeah.
Would you like a little
Sure.
bit more?
No, thank you. I'm done.
Typically, the cheeses are aged from 4 to 12 months, and in keeping with local tradition, regularly rubbed in a mixture of olive oil and vinegar to prevent mould from forming. The deep yellow colour and slight nutty flavour helped to set this cheese apart from other regional favourites and made me keen to understand more about the region's rich agricultural history. La Porta dei Parchi is situated on the edge of Abruzzo's beautiful national parks, and for more than 3 decades, it's been the home of a leading academic cheese-making professor, who I was very keen to interview. So, you're a professor and a shepherd. Tell me how you came to this beautiful region.
Yeah, I came from Florence with the University of Agriculture to study officinal plants. This is the most important protect area in Italy. The 70% of this land is protected. The name of our farm is the door of the parks because we are surrounded from 3 national parks and all Anversa is a regional park.
Tell me about the history of milking sheep and cheese in this region.
Okay. This is the most important activity since the old time because in Abruzzo we are just 2 inhabitants for kilometer square. So from the ancient time we breed till 7 million of sheep, and now they are just 200,000.
You're telling me that you've gone from 7 million sheep here in the 15th century to just 220,000 now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's...
We propose to adopt a sheep to defend this job because nobody wants to go on with this tradition.
Manuela's Adopt a Sheep program is used to promote traditional ways of farming and living in the region, and those who sign up receive cheese produced on the farm in return. It's always inspiring to meet someone so passionately committed to preserving old traditional ways. Following the traditional shepherd's tracks, we made our way down the mountains to the town of Agnone in the upper Molise region, where Eleonora had arranged to visit a family that's been making cheese for an extraordinary 11 generations.
Possiamo sospendere. Wow! No, tanto viene tagliato. Chiedo scusa, tu devi essere Serena di Nucci.
Sì, piacere.
Let me introduce you, Mr. Wistad.
Oh, nice to meet you,
Serena.
Fantastic to be here.
Very, very fantastic to
This
be.
looks a nice shop.
Yeah,
Really
thank
lovely
you.
shop. Caseificio de Nucci is a typical local family dairy business and specialises in the production of raw cow's milk stretch curd cheeses, including the regional benchmark Strecciata.
Ah, yeah, I'm looking forward to try that.
Yeah, of course.
Behind the counter, the family's eldest daughter and son were busy serving customers in the same way their descendants have done for more than a century.
You're welcome.
After sampling a few of the cheeses at the shop, it was time to head to the dairy, where mid-morning production was in full swing.
So this is stretch curd.
Yeah, this is actually stretch curd, and this is cut it now, and then it is packaged, okay, with this kind of special paper that is for food.
Are you the only people that make this cheese in the region?
Yeah, the only one factory who is processing this with raw milk. Yeah, with no starters, so just rennet, salt, raw milk from high-quality breeders.
So this would be the way it was once done by the shepherds.
Yeah.
This would be as traditional as you can get.
Absolutely
Yes. Traditional, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely traditional from Molise region.
And raw milk, of course, adds lots of different flavours to the cheese.
Yeah, in our local language is straccio, and stracciare means
Stretching.
stripping.
Like a rag, you know.
Yeah.
So
A rag, stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something else. milky, sweet.
Yeah.
Probably the best cow's milk stretch curd cheese I've ever had in my
Yeah, I
life.
agree with you.
Me too, absolutely.
That
That's
is something
great.
special. Really, really good.
Here they're making another cheese, another fresh cheese that is called Scamorza. Scamorza, the term Scamorza derived for cut and broke the stretching curd, okay?
So he's like breaking it off?
Yeah, it says scamorzare, means cut,
To cut
a
in
piece,
this way with
cut
them.
in pieces from the curd.
Okay.
And then it is hot water, of course, 89 degrees, and the curd.
So what's the difference between this and mozzarella?
It is a sort of acidification too, because this is a more hard curd. Okay, in mozzarella we have a more soft curd, and this is a sort of acidification.
So it's a harder cheese.
Yeah.
Less humidity, probably.
Yeah, but it contains, once it is finished, it contains all the milk inside. So you've got tears of milk inside. Yeah, it's quite
Wow,
heavy.
very crafted.
Yeah, because
Really
it's
heavy.
In addition to the local cheeses, Caseificio de Nucci is famous for Caciocavallo. And I caught up with Franco de Nucci in his ripening cave, where the best examples of this cheese are matured for up to 2 years.
Fondamentale, perché
Fundamentally,
diciamo, il
we can
formaggio
say that
nasce
cheese was born during Transhumance,
questo antico
or
mondo
the
della
seasonal movement of animals to the new pastures
ed è
in the old
veicolato
days,
nella
all along the
storia
Trattore.
tramite le vie del tratturo, per cui anche modalità
Historically,
di produzione
other
del
methods
formaggio
of
di altre
cheesemaking
coste
have come
del
from across the Mediterranean
arrivano tramite
to the
i
Trattori
trattori alla cultura
and have influenced
del
cheesemaking
formaggio
culture in Italy.
italiana. Di certo la
We know for sure
tradizione della
that the
pasta
stretching
filata è
curd method in cheese production is a southern Italian tradition,
sicuramente meridionale
as well
e
as cattle
sicuramente
breeding.
legata al mondo della vacca.
After the dairy visit, in true welcoming Italian style, we were invited to the family home for some regional cooking, using 2 versions of the dairy's prized Caciocavallo.
So tell me something about the tradition behind this dish. It was made originally for a mad Spanish queen, I think.
Yes, it was. And she came to Italy, and she came to Agnone. She came here to rest, to have some rest.
So this is really a Spanish, not even French, it's Spanish and
It's
Italian.
French. It's from Provence.
Okay, so a Spanish mad queen
Yes.
taught the Italians of this region how to make a French provincial dish.
That's
Correct.
Very good. I'm
Yes.
getting it now.
It's an international dish.
Okay, so now we get the broth.
Il brodo chiaramente viene molto sgrassato.
So what's been in there? Just chicken?
Chicken
Yes.
and vegetables, maybe a little?
No, just
Only
chicken.
chicken. It reminds
Bellissimo.
me of home.
Buonissimo.
Home cooking at its best. I imagine in the snow, when it's really cold, this would be a great dish, yeah?
The soup is allowed to rest to absorb the flavour of the broth. And for all the budding chefs out there, the ingredients are oven-cooked croutons, a pizza bread made with cheese, beef and chicken meatballs, deep-fried balls of egg and caciocavallo, and cubes of 1- and 2-year-old cheese. A delicious combination of French, Spanish and Italian cuisine.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Chin chin. Chin chin.
Puglia is bordered by the Adriatic Sea, and the region's mild coastal climate and rich soils have traditionally proved ideal for the production of wine, olives and cereal crops. Cheesemaking here was influenced by the movement of flocks to the summer pastures in the mountains. But over the last century, modern agricultural techniques have introduced intensive dairy farming, and fresh stretch curd cheeses made with cow's milk are now part of established regional tradition.
After their long trek down from the mountains, the shepherds spent their winters here, in Puglia. I've come here to look at a very special cow's milk cheese. Its name is Burrata.
Now copied all over the world by industrial dairies, This relatively modern cheese from Puglia is still made in the region the old-fashioned way by hand from raw milk. And there's a lot of skill involved in filling the tender porcelain white curd bags with a mixture of rich cream and stringy stretch curd cheese. The seaside town of Andria is the original home of burrata, and one of the most respected producers today is the Hollander family.
So that's just cream and mozzarella, shredded mozzarella.
Exactly, that's it, yeah.
Any special sort of cream?
Sì, panna di latte.
A light milk cream.
Successivamente poi quando chiude questa sacca, prende la buratina.
After this, when you cut the burrata, the acid fragrance of the cream comes out, and you get the typical burrata taste. That is at the same time acid, savory and sweet, but also features a hint of herbs.
It looks great, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks fantastic. Really beautiful.
Burrata is an artisanal cheese, so it cannot be produced using a machine. Such a machine doesn't exist.
There's no machine doing it, you know?
Why no machine?
No.
What's important are the physical and tactile skills of the cheesemaker.
E sono quei pochi formaggi che la mano dell'uomo deve ancora toccare per farli.
There are machines, but of course doing it by hand, that is a result, but a result.
Perché lui in casaro
You need to feel the right consistency of the dough, using only your hands, and you must be able to smell the aroma. A machine can do this. You need a lot of patience to do this job. And here we are used to teaching one from another, from uncle to nephew.
Zio al nipote, in poche parole.
So traditions also in the techniques they are using.
Look at how quick he wraps that up. Unbelievable.
Very quick now.
How long does it take to train to make burrata?
Quanto ci vuole di training per fare la burrata, per impararla a fare?
About 6-7 months minimum.
6-7 mesi minimo.
Like 7 months minimum.
Sei anche peluto.
7 months to learn this.
This is our youngest cheesemaker. He's been working here since last year.
After seeing the cheese making firsthand, we were invited to taste the rest of the remarkable cheeses made by the dairy, including aged Scamorza, Caciocavallo, and a sensational smoked burrata.
That smoke, that's really good. That, you could never explain how good that was unless you tasted it. It was really good. Very, very special. I've never had smoked burrata before. And I tell you what, I'll be coming back for more. It was really good. Dreadlocks, Abruzzo style.
Che muoio per lei, la tratterò mai.